Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. This video was supposed to be out last week, but I was a little busy last week, so I apologize for that. But it is finally here. I'm going to be showing you guys my setup, my full setup. So that kind of consists of a couple of things. Firstly, my first PC, which I built from Iligia. That was in the year 2019. So the hardware there is a bit outdated, but then I built another PC at the end of 2020. So that's gonna be the one with some pretty cool hardware. So let's begin. So I think I'm gonna start off by showing you the first PC I built. If I had any comments about my first PCs, I kind of wish that I knew more about PC hardware and stuff like that before I entered the so-called PC Master Race back then, because I kind of regretted choosing some of the hardware, but that's on me. I think I'll start off with a motherboard. So this is the Z390 Elite from Aorus. I don't really have a specific reason why I went with this motherboard, but all I had in mind back then was to have an Intel build. So I just went with their Z series motherboards, which is they are supposed to be like their top of the range one. The mistake I made with this is that I didn't realize that it doesn't have a Wi-Fi card. So when I first received it from Iligia, I was like taken aback. I was like, wait, there's no wireless in this motherboard. So I had to buy a Wi-Fi card, which was pretty annoying. But for my second build, I learned from my mistake. So that was on me. That was not on Iligia's end. So for the next part, it's this one. So this is a i7-9700K. This is a pretty good processor until today. But of course, considering the fact that this was released a little while before the new AMD processors came out. Next is the graphics card. This is a 2060 from Zotac. It's a dual fan, so it's a pretty small GPU. Back then I didn't really want to splurge on the 2070 or 2080, but I bought this before the 20 series Supers came out, so I kind of missed out on that, but it's perfectly fine. I'm still happy with the performance it gave me. So this is, I think, a really good budget GPU today, because the prices have dropped like crazy on these. So yeah, if you're building a PC, I would totally recommend this, or like a Super or something. So moving on to my AIO, I'm using this. It's the Gamerstorm Castle 240 RGB. Actually, I don't know this brand. It was what was recommended for me from Iligia. I told them that I wanted an AIO with RGB. I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest. I spent so much on RGB on my first PC for nothing, honestly. Well, I'm just kidding. RGB gives you more FPS, remember that, kids. So yeah, this is a 240mm AIO. I don't really have any complaints about it, honestly. Even like noise and my temps are pretty okay. So yeah, but if you ask me today whether I would go with this or something like the NZXT or a Corsair AIO, I would definitely choose those over this. Well, it's still fine, and this isn't really expensive as well. So yeah. Moving on to the power supply. So I think the biggest mistake I made for this build was the power supply. It's been giving me a lot of issues. I don't know if it's for this specific unit or whatever reason, but basically when I turn off my PC, I would have to switch off the switch from the back as well, or else on the next day I have to discharge a lot of like and then leave it for a while, then turn it on, or else it just won't turn on. Like the RGB lights will turn on, but that's about it. So yeah, so this is the power supply I went with. It's from Cooler Master. Cooler Master makes good things, but I don't know why this has let me down so many times. This is my second one of this for my PC. It's a 750 watt, which is enough even in today's standards with the 30 series cards. I'm not sure I would recommend this, to be honest. I would prefer to go with something from Corsair again. So in terms of RAM, I picked this up. This is Trident Z from G.Skill. This is a 2666 megahertz RAM. Well, it has RGB as well. So this is 8 times 2. Yeah. So at least I'm on dual channel. So that's good. So for storage, I don't have my storage box with me actually. So basically, I have a 256 gig M.2 SSD from, I think it's the Samsung PM981. So that's a pretty cheap, pretty good SSD, and it's really cheap. But I don't know why I didn't get a lot of storage, so I had to buy more storage in later on down the road. Then I have a 1 terabyte hard drive for the Seagate Barracuda. It's a pretty good one, but to be honest, once you go with an SSD, you just can't go back. And then later on, I added this. So this is a 512 gig 970 Pro from Samsung. It is incredibly fast. I wish I installed my OS on this, but yeah, it is what it is. So last but not least, I went with this for my Wi-Fi card. It's from TP-Link, nothing fancy. If you're wondering why I'm not showing you that PC, it's because it's overseas, it's not with me. Okay, moving on. The last piece of this whole entire thing. So this PC was in the build for about 4 months because of the situation. So COVID really affected the production of the RTX 3000 series and also the AMD 5000 series. I wanted to go with the tough gaming one from Asus, but I just couldn't wait that long. And this graphics card has a screen, so I can put GIFs on it. I'll start off with the case. I got this is from NZXT, their H510 case. It's a mid-tower case. So next, my processor, I went this time was with the Ryzen 7 5800X, the new one. So next, I will go with my mobile from MSI, the B550 Gaming Carbon Wi-Fi. So I went with this because, well, not really because it came with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. You shouldn't really go for a motherboard just because it has those features, but if it has those features, then it's just a plus point. This comes with Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5, so it has all the latest stuff, and it has support for Gen 4, which is what my SSD and my GPU needs. So yeah, that's why I went with this. I wanted to go with a X570 board, but this is actually a pretty high-end B550 board. So yeah. Next, my AIO. So initially I went with X53 instead of the Z63, and the reason was because I thought the X53 came with that GIF thing, but it's only on this one. So I told my guys in ASIO, yes, I got this PC not from 80 Gear. They're a smaller company, but they're really cool guys. So I would recommend to go to ASIO. It's near Paradigm Mall. They're pretty flexible people and they're nice guys, and they know a lot about computers. So yeah, I recommend going with them. So this is a 280mm AIO, and it has the GIF functions. So yeah, I can put GIFs on my GPU and on my AIO. What have we come to, right? Okay, so for RAM, I went with 32 gigs. So this 8 times 4 of the G.Skill Trident Z Neo. You can see here, Trident Z Neo. It's a 3600 megahertz DDR4 RAM. So they're pretty good, pretty quick RAM. They are CL18, which was a bit disappointing because I thought I bought the CL16 version, but apparently that was pretty hard to find. So yeah, I just settled for the CL18. So next, my PSU, I went with Corsair. This is 850 watts gold fully modular power supply from Corsair. This is a really good power supply. It hasn't failed me. No weird funky issues compared to my Cooler Master one, so I'm really happy. And I had to go with 850 watts one because the hardware I use is pretty power consuming, especially my graphics card. So in terms of storage, I initially wanted to go with like a budget one, so something from ADATA. ADATA curates really good SSDs for really good price, so if you're on a tight budget, you should go with that. So I went with this, which I kind of regret, not because it's bad, it's because the WD and Samsung just came out with new Gen 4 SSDs, which are really good. It completely destroys this, but there's a point of diminishing returns when you go up to that speeds. So I'm just gonna stick with this, and maybe in the future I'll upgrade it, we'll see. So this is the Corsair MP600. It's a Gen 4 M.2 SSD. It's really fast. It has its own heatsink. This is a pretty good SSD overall, but if you're going for Gen 4, I would just go with like Samsung or WD if you have the budget. I think the best storage setup for people would be having an M.2 SSD with a SATA SSD. So it's way faster. You don't really want anything like making noise and also moving, causing vibrations in your setup, I feel. So personally, I would recommend going for a SATA because the price difference isn't too much. Last but not least, this baby, which took 4 months. RTX 3080 from Colorful iGame. This isn't as well known, but the performance of this is really good, and what they use, the capacitors in here hasn't failed. I read the reviews and they said that the capacitors and the overall build, the vapor chamber in this is really tip top as well, so I just went with this. And the main feature about this is, well, it can be overclocked. That's the first thing, but I don't do it. But it has a screen, so up here there's actually a screen that you can plop up, or you can just put it flush with the GPU. So yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I'm using a Fantex case for my build in Australia, so it's pretty cool. I have a black case for an AMD build and a white case for an Intel build. Okay, so now I'm going to be showing you guys how my PC looks like. Obviously I can only show you one of my PCs because the other one is in Australia, but yeah, and pardon how dirty it is. So this is how it looks like. Hello there. So that's the AIO in there, the motherboard. This is the fan from NZXT. I'm thinking of changing this to a nocturne one. So there's one fan here, one fan on the top, and then my radiators over here, and there's some holes from the case on the other side. That's the RAM sticks, all 4 of them. This is the GPU, the screen, and this is the stand because of how heavy this graphics card is. So yeah. So unfortunately I can't show you how my first PC boots up, but I can show you how this one boots up. Alright, so this power button's up here. Starting. It's a bit slow. So yeah, you can see the RGB from the RAM, from the AIO, the GPU. GPU has more RGB here, more RGB there, and some on the motherboard as well. Yeah, when it boots up, normally it just shows the temperature and this default looking graphic from iGame. I normally change it. Everything syncs like I said. So this is the RAM, this is the GPU, that's the mobile, and these are the GIFs. So this is from Rose's teaser for her solo, and that's taken from their Spotify shoot that they did. But yeah,